Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman invites you to mark 1 year since Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th. Join us as we come together this Monday, October 7th at 6 p.m. at the Harry Chapin Lakeside Theater in Eisenhower Park. Let's stand together in solidarity with Israel and those held hostage Monday, October 7th, 6 p.m. at Eisenhower Park. For more information, visit nassaucountyny.gov.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And guys, joining us now is Joe Concha, of course, from Fox News. And Joe, big news today as we're talking about all this stuff. This is a huge news day. Also, CBS is taking a lot of heat. Kamala Harris does the interview with them, and they release two totally different answers to her question as we're talking about foreign affairs. Israel, two totally different, and everyone's going, will the real answer please stand up? Your thoughts, Joe?
I mean, Rita, guys, the fact that CBS promoted this 60 Minutes interview by putting out a clip showing, again, the word salad queen, she put the hat back on, went in the kitchen, started chopping up that word salad, and the answer made no sense. It was all bubbles and no bath. And then when you watch 60 Minutes that night, suddenly that answer was gone. It disappeared. And then when they released the transcript, it also wasn't in there. They only released the transcript of the edited version of the interview, not the whole thing. Donald Trump went on CBS News in 2020. They put out the whole transcript. They put out the whole video. Do they do that for Kamala Harris here? Of course not. Why? Because they are hacktivists. They are there to try to get her over the finish line. This is journalistic malfeasance, and this justifies Trump saying no to that interview. Because can you imagine the way they would have edited him after the fact to make him look as bad as possible? No upside going on there. This ain't your daddy's 60 Minutes anymore. Cronkite, Murrow, no more.
You're saying CBS edited out all the bad points of the interview to make her look better?
Yes, absolutely.
And this is 60 Minutes, the famous 60 Minutes?
John, 52 years they've been on the air. They're a top 10 show. And all they have to do now, just to shut up guys like me, release the entire interview. Show me the entire transcript. They won't do it because they know it looks that bad for her.
Governor Patterson.
Joe, first of all, nice to talk to you. We used to do some shows together. But I want to ask you, what has CBS said when they've been called on the carpet about this?
Here's the thing. Fox News, we reached out to CBS News, say, what's going on here, guys? Why won't you release the entire transcript? Why did you change the answer for Kamala Harris to try to make her look better? And they won't respond. They won't respond to a request for comment. They're a news organization, and they're pleading the fifth. They're running away from this thing because they know they're caught. And that's the great thing about Elon Musk. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Insane, right?
Insane.
Judge Weinberg.
And, Joe, good to talk to you again. And there's another CBS scandal going on now. You had an interview by the interviewer for the morning show. There's a hard-hitting journalist interview. He asked questions that should be asked against a polemical anti-Semitic, anti-Israeli book writer.
Yeah, guy who thinks that Israel's an apartheid state.
And a so-called academic. He asked him the questions that should be asked, and he's called on the carpet by the brass at CBS saying he violated their journalistic standards. What journalistic standards are those, Joe?
There's none left over there, that's for sure. I mean, the interviewer's name, the anchor, was Tony DeCopel, and he does the CBS morning show. And they had on a guy named Tanishi Coates. All right, to Rita's point, this is a guy who has called Israel an apartheid state and has basically implied that it has no right to exist. So if you get a guy like that in front of you, especially a guy like Tony DeCopel, whose family literally lives in Israel right now, you're going to ask some questions of this guy and take him, challenge him on all these ridiculous things that this guy wrote in this book. And then what happens? The next day, there's an all-hands-on-staff editorial meeting. It was secretly recorded by somebody on it because they allowed people to join by Zoom. And the two executives at CBS that run the network, in essence, they said that Tony DeCopel, the anchor, he was at fault. His tone was bad. He asked some inappropriate questions, and this is not CBS News.
And he had to apologize. He had to do an apology. He had to do an apology.
Rita, I actually saw the interview. In other words, I didn't know what was coming on. I just had the
you just happened to watch it, right?
And it was very uncomfortable to hear that interview. And Tony DeCopel's questions were hard-hitting and striking. But this man, he said to him, in your book, You don't mention one thing about Israel or what happened on October 7th last year. And the guy said, well, I only had, 250 pages. He said, but even in 250 pages, could you have written one page that understood the problem that the Israelis and Jewish people here have? And the guy said, well, that's been written before. I'm writing about, honestly, I don't remember how he answered the question, but I remembered thinking to myself, wow. Who got this guy on as a guest?
And get this, you guys, it gets better. You may have seen this, Joe, but it just came out recently that apparently, because now there was all these people in CBS who were saying, whoa, agreeing like what the gov is saying, like, come on. And it turns out that CBS brass apparently put out standards within CBS and said, quote, to their staffers, do not refer to Jerusalem as being in Israel.
Yeah, where is it then?
Yeah, I mean,
please tell me where that is.
That's amazing.
It's in Iowa.
Yeah.
That's like saying Asbury Park is not New Jersey. Like, no, come on, all right? I mean, Jerusalem is in Israel.
And there's a memo like that going around?
Yeah, they put it out in standards saying, here's what talking points within CBS, you journalists should not refer to it as being in Israel.
Edward R. Murrow.
Rolling in his grave.
Turning in his grave.
Turning in his. I interned, by the way, years ago for Dan Rather, and I can tell you, people say whatever they say about Dan Rather. Dan Rather would be mortified by this for all his issues, all the things. I'm telling you, this is not the old CBS, and that's sad.
And
you want to hear one more great thing, guys?
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
So then after they reprimanded DeCopel for the interview, then they decided to hire a trauma trainer and DEI expert to help the staff heal from the trauma that were Tony DeCopel's questions in that interview. You're hiring what? People that work in news, they're tough. They don't need a trauma trainer for tough questions. Mike Wallace also is turning over his grave. A lot of turning going on right now, guys.
Absolutely. Well, I know you got to go. Joe, we love you. Thank you for being here with us so much.
Oh, thank you, guys. Always a pleasure.